welcome to the Data Faces podcast on location. We're coming to you live from the CDOIQ event in Cambridge, Massachusetts, right next to MIT. I am joined, sitting next to me is Kelley Kassa. She is senior analyst at BARC US. Kelley, welcome to the Data Faces podcast.
Hi, David. It's great to see you again. I know we last met up at BARC's US retreat in lovely Colorado.
That's right. It was a great event there, and so it's a pleasure to see you again. And for those who may not be familiar with you or BARC, can you just tell us a little bit about you, your role at BARC, and what BARC does?
Sure. So I'll start with what BARC is. BARC is a global research firm. We do primary research based on, we get users to complete surveys. My role is in the corporate performance management group. I joined BARC in October of 2025 as our North American person in the practice.
Okay.
The rest of the practice, my practice, is in Europe.
Okay.
I like to say North America because I've got a few vendors in Toronto, so we're not just US.
Okay, great. And the name of the show is Data Faces, so I like to get behind people's professional resume that lives on LinkedIn. So what was your first job?
My first job was down at the Jersey Shore where I grew up, working at a 24-hour diner across from a commercial marina.
Oh, wow.
So I learned how to juggle different things, how to manage different urgencies, how to deal with lots of different personalities, and how to keep cool when things are a little crazy.
Yeah, well, that's we all had those jobs, so it's always a great learning experience. So we're here at the CDOIQ event, and information quality, data quality is a huge topic here. How does that relate to sort of what you do in corporate performance management? Because I feel like out of all the functions, they have their data probably in the best shape a lot of the times, but maybe I have that wrong. So let's dig in.
Well, one would think that the Office of Finance has it in the best shape, but that's not actually true. And in fact, it's a high priority for corporate performance management people. In our 2025 CPM Trends Survey that we do with BPM partners and Craig Schiff and John Colbert, data management was the number one priority for CPM users.
Okay.
The issue is that they tend to have a lot of siloed data, and despite the fact that I think it was over 40% of people surveyed use dedicated planning, budgeting, forecasting software, there's still a large amount of Excel.
Yeah, I was going to say spreadsheet galore, right?
Spreadsheets galore, and when you have spreadsheets, the data quality is questionable.
Right. So what's your recommendation for these organizations that have questionable data quality? How do they even think about getting a handle on this spreadsheet chaos, I'll call it, and data management being a top priority? Well, how are they going to address this?
So there are a number of ways to address it, and I have to admit that data management, data quality, data transparency, they're all wrapped together with data integrations, and that's one of the bigger issues as well, is not having the data integrated. So the first step for many organizations is to go with a platform approach to corporate performance management. In that case, it's sometimes called enterprise performance management.
Sure.
So people like OneStream, SAP, Oracle, IBM Planning Analytics, they all take a platform approach and have the ability to integrate with lots of different data systems.
Okay. And how do they think about it? Like, do they have to do you start one piece at a time? Because like you mentioned, there's spreadsheets everywhere, and everybody's got their own little system running. So how do they approach, I guess, getting on a platform?
So The big thing is to figure out when you've essentially hit the wall with spreadsheets and Excel, and realizing there's a problem. And for a lot of companies, a lot of CFOs and FP&A people in the Office of Finance, they realize that they don't have the agility in their data to make the right decisions. Maybe it's, as somebody said, you might have, say, 10 databases connected into your system, but you actually have 12 data systems as well. And so you need to have everything connected in. Then the other issue is how fresh is your data? You know, for some companies, the idea of batch processing or once a night works. For other companies, for example, say a coffee company, where they're concerned about a product going stale on the shelves, they need much more close to real-time data.
Okay. And then, this survey you mentioned, data management, and I think that it was quite a big population of finance leaders, 1,000 or more. And so you mentioned data management sort of at the top of the priority list. I think I recall at the BARC event, the AI was sort of at the bottom of the list, which seems to be completely opposite to other surveys I've seen and the topic of discussion here. Data management is at the top, and AI is at the top. They're both at the top. Finance, sort of opposite. Why is this?
Well, I think it's because finance recognizes that data management and data quality, data integration is vital. It's a vital foundation for successful AI. Because if AI doesn't have the right amount of data, the right types of data that's auditable, you can get questionable results, questionable outcomes. So it's really a matter of the CFOs, and I argue the CFO is in the position to be the AI entrepreneur. They recognize that they need the foundation, they need a good foundation, in order to then get what they want out of AI.
So we get that data quality is important, and everybody's pro data quality, but we've been talking about data quality forever. And so why is it so hard for the finance function, who you would think would have their act together? Why is it so hard for them?
I think it's hard for them just as it's hard for the data management practitioners that we're talking to here at the show. There's always a new system. There are always shadow systems. Shadow Excel sheets is a big problem in finance. Everybody will have their planning system of record, but then they'll have their own private spreadsheets on the side that they do their quote unquote real planning in. And so it's a challenge, and it's always going to be a challenge. For decades, a lot of vendors said, we're going to enable you to not use Excel any longer. That's changed a bit because now these vendors recognize that Excel is not going to go away.
Right.
The issue is that how do we manage it, how do we deal with it? And nobody has solved that problem yet.
Okay. So on the AI spectrum, is the finance function going to be adopting AI anytime soon? Are they thinking about it? Are they testing it? Or are they just like, no, we're going to focus on the data for now, and AI will be sometime later?
A lot of them are moving towards adopting AI. I refer to it as the messy middle. The big challenge is you might have your vendors sounding like everybody's doing everything with AI and they're
Sure.
working a 4-day work week.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got...
I'm waiting for that one, by the way.
Yes. Then you've got users on the other end of the spectrum who, I joke, don't even know how to spell AI. And the reality is somewhere in the middle. One of our surveys showed that globally, AI in production is at 6%. in production now. And I questioned that data a little bit because it didn't feel right for the North American market, so I dug a little bit deeper. And in North America, the AI in production, in adoption, is 9%. So in North America, we're a little bit of ahead, but there's still so much more work to be done. And part of the reason why AI can really work in finance is, especially if you look at maybe the close function in accounting, it's repeatable processes on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis. And so you can have AI agents doing all those tasks that a human could be doing better things with their time than the monthly checklist tasks.
Right, but a human would still need to sort of validate the results and make sure AI did things correctly, I'm assuming, right?
Absolutely. Like you, I've been to a lot of events recently, and when I was at the OneStream conference, Tom Shea, the CEO, founder of OneStream, said you can go, yes, go off and use agents for this, that, and the other thing, but understand that once you sign off on it, it's not the agent that goes to jail, it's you that goes to jail if AI makes a mistake. So yes, there always needs to be a human in the loop. And when it comes to financial consolidation, you definitely need to sign off on that and be assured that that data is correct. And that brings us back to data quality, transparency, and good data management rules.
That's really interesting to me because so let's say AI does a lot of the tedium that maybe humans can do but don't want to for whatever reasons. There's too much work out there for sure. But you still are on the hook to verify and validate those results are accurate. Like I don't even know how should someone think about that? So AI's done all this stuff, and you get this package of numbers. So what do you do? Like it's sort of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that brings up a slightly different angle that a lot of vendors are hearing is why can't I just vibe code a solution or throw my Claude at my spreadsheets?
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly. And so you really want that assurance that your data is correct and that you are willing to sign off on it. If you think about balancing your own, I don't think anybody uses checkbooks anymore.
We used to, though.
But we used to.
Right.
You'd go back through your various documents and say, yes, this is good, or wait, this is wrong, where is there a problem? And so that sort of, if you think about it with a large company, that's the analogy, but then it becomes much more problematic as you grow.
Right, okay. And then I guess maybe my last question is, what do you think the future holds for finance? We're gonna be I don't even want to go long term. We're here next year. You're on the show again. What's changed?
I think maybe not what has changed, but what CFOs would like to change is the ability to have the right number at their fingertips. You'd be surprised at how many CFOs still struggle with that information, having that information. And when the CEO or the board asks you, what if we do X, what would the numbers look like? The CFO does not want to have to say, I'll get back to you in a week, I'll get back to you in 3 days. So what everybody would like to see is that the right data, auditable, high quality, they can get at that near instantaneously, so it's a matter of a few clicks to answer that question, as opposed to come by and see me next week.
Okay, that's Nirvana. So here we have Kelley Kassa, Senior Analyst at BARC. Where can people find more about the research that you do at BARC, and more if they have questions, how do they get hold of you?
Well, they can go to barc.com, that's BARC.com. They can reach out to me on LinkedIn. If you do try to reach out to me on LinkedIn, know that my first name, Kelley, is spelled with an EY, so that's Kelley. And when, if people want to see me offline, I'll just point over to the Charles River here,
Go that way.
outside our window.
Yep.
And 3 days a week, they can find me rowing on the Charles River.
Oh, excellent. Well, Kelley, thank you for joining the Data Faces podcast.
Thanks, David.
Cheers.